Alright, so hey friends, welcome to this week's video. And to be honest, there's been a lot of videos this week. And that's because it's Level 8's birthday month and kind of anniversary. So they have a lot of promotions going on, and as a result, we've gotten a few things that we wanted to review for them. One being this free loop, which is their lightweight option, super beautiful. If you haven't seen the review on that, check the link above. We've also looked at their packing cubes, and there's a 6 and a 4 pack. Both of those are super awesome as well. I have a review for those, but we're definitely keeping those ones around because they're just super nice inside of all of these different carry-ons, and they just fit like a glove. So something that we can definitely recommend on that front. However, over the past few years, ever since I've been starting to review Level 8 luggage, people have been asking for different comparisons. And that's kind of fair because there's just a lot of options from here. And even between similar form factors, there's little subtleties that make it really hard to make a decision sometimes. So I can totally understand where you guys are coming from, asking for some of those comparisons. What I want to caveat is that I do have some other luggages, and those are the check-in ones. I'm not going to do any check-ins. Additionally, I'm not going to do any wide handle variants just because I don't have any of those. So like there is the Captain, there is the Voyager. Those ones I just don't have on hand, so I can't give you insights on what's better between those, as well as like some of the other ones like the Glitter or some of the more generic models. I just don't have those on hand either. However, if you're looking at a carry-on, likelihood you're probably looking at one of these because these are like their best models that have the most compelling features, depending on what you're looking for. What we have here is the fully aluminum magnesium Gibraltar, which is something that I use all the time for business travel. We also got the 𝐵𝐔𝐿 or 𝐵𝐵𝐿 or 𝐵𝐵𝐿, I don't know the name, but we have recently reviewed this as well, which is sort of a polycarbonate metal hybrid that functions very similarly but has some improvements. We obviously talked about the free loop lightweight option. We also have the Pro carry-on, which has a nice pop-out function for laptops, as well as the capture, which is like a great surprise for us because I don't usually do soft tops, but this one's dope because it has so much organization as well as laptop functionality in terms of storing and easy access. So definitely a nice plethora and gamut of things that you'd look for, and they're all gonna be this sort of narrow-handled function. Again, great for putting on bags and things like that. So as we look at this, another thing to note is that there will be future comparisons on certain things because I know a lot of people have been asking about the Gibraltar and the 𝐵𝐿 because they are very similar and it's hard to discern which one you want to pick, or even the Pro carry-on and the Capture. These two both are laptop oriented, so we'll do a comparison on those. But for now, we will be doing a full comparison on all 5 of these, and I'm going to enlist the help of 𝐓𝐘𝐒 so that I can make a non-biased decision on which one we like the best. So we will be going over everything from handles to wheels to packability to aesthetics, just to think about everything that you guys might care about in terms of a carry-on, and then we'll break down each section, talk about our favorites, and then sort of tally the scores at the end and see which one we have as our favorite from each person. So there's definitely gonna be a lot to talk about here, so strap in and have fun. We're gonna be going through a lot.
So to give you a rundown of the luggage that we have on hand, the Capture is a soft top luggage with a more functional design. It's black with chrome accents, leather handles, and has the most external storage of the bunch. The Pro carry-on is a polycarbonate case with rounded edges. It has a super simplistic design from the lines to the handle and has a pretty nice party trick with its one-button access to its laptop storage. The free loop is one of the newer models from Level 8 and brings in some shine as well as some retro vibes. This model has the most color options and is also the lightest. The Gibraltar is Level 8's fully aluminum alloy case that shines. While it's an older model, it has some of the best features and definitely feels the most solid of the group. And finally, we have the 𝐵𝐿, which has a polycarbonate shell with a metal frame and can be seen as a more stealthy version of the Gibraltar.
So before we go further on this, let's start off with like what I think I'm gonna pick. And this is just me like looking at the luggage and what would be my first go-to. And I'm gonna say the Gibraltar, and it's just because it's so freaking pretty. And I've used it for plenty of business trips, I've used it for weddings, and it's just pretty solid enough. Obviously there's improvements, and they've done improvements with these luggages that I've tried, but the Gibraltar is just the one that I go to. It just is. So we'll see how that holds up as I start evaluating these categories, but that's what it is at the moment. So let's see.
So if I saw them in a closet and I had to grab one to go to a trip, the one I'd probably grab is a Gibraltar. Hard to say that name. but it's the most similar to the one that I use on my day-to-day regular basis. I like hard shells. I think it looks quite sleek, and that's the one I'd probably gravitate towards.
Looking at aesthetics, we're looking at overall silhouette, lines, materials, and general look. Not going into depth about durability or practicality, just a vapid take on looks and which one looks most striking to our eyes. So starting with aesthetics, obviously Level 8 has done a lot of good in terms of like their new line, you know, their 𝐓𝐘𝐒 and their free loop and all the other stuff that they've built. However, still, I will say that the Gibraltar is the sexiest of the bunch. It is just shiny, the lines are perfect, the slow-moving handles are a great addition, and I just love wheeling that around airports. It just looks super dope, it's super eye-catching, and just again, super clean lines. I love it. So that's gonna be the winner for me. I think if I had to pick like a close second, it would probably be the 𝐓𝐘𝐒. Oh, just because, you know, similar kind of vibe, but actually, you know, it's not as clean because of that yellow tag, so I'm probably gonna give it to the free loop as a secondary, but really, Gibraltar, aesthetics all the way.
If I had to grab one in terms of aesthetics, I would go for the free loop. I think it looks really chic, super sleek, so that's the one I would gravitate towards for an aesthetic feel.
Level 8 has a ton of handle variants, and they change even from tops and sides. The top handles come in two categories: stretch handles, which are more sleek and protrude less, while the swing out handles are more bulky and are generally more comfortable to hold when carrying. Another thing to note on those stretch handles is that they get different tightnesses depending on the construction. The free loop is the tightest, the capture has the most give, and the pro is somewhere in between. Moving to the side handles, you have similar divergences in terms of design language. However, when we talk about the swing out handles, they are very similar but have varied release speeds, with the free loop being the slowest and most cushioned of them all. In terms of stretch handles, the Pro Carry-On has a similar sleek handle as the top handle, and the Capture has a padded leather handle which protrudes, making it easy to grab.
So on body handle, I would pick the 𝐓𝐘𝐒, and that's because of the slow release that it has. I just think it feels really nice to pull the handle, let it go, and watch it go back down really slowly and softly. So that's the one that I would go for. If I had to pick from the other type of handles, I would probably go with the Pro because it's also super smooth to pull on and to grab. So super easy to do that with that one.
So when we talk about on-body handles, that is an interesting question, because in reality, if I'm talking about luxury and all that stuff, the Capture actually has the most comfortable ones because they're like so padded, they're very nice, you can carry it really easily, and they stretch, so like that's really cool. However, they're not very sleek in comparison to the other options out there. Obviously the Gibraltar has slow moving handles, and the free loop has like a really nice soft handle too, which is kind of like what I would want, but they don't extend it to the top, which kind of is the deal breaker for me. So if I'm going to say which ones are my favorite handles, it's probably gonna be the 𝐓𝐘𝐒, because they both move super slow, so you don't have to worry about it slamming your fingers, and it's relatively comfortable to carry that and pull from that when you're in the airport, or just like pulling it onto a bed to unpack it. So I really like the 𝐓𝐘𝐒. Handles, definitely gonna go with that. It's very close. Again, the Captures are super comfortable, they're just not slow moving or fancy, so I'm gonna go with the fancy.
Looking at the telescopic handles, there is not much to suss out here as they are all narrow handles and constructed very similarly. There is slight variation in handle shape, finish, and wiggle in build, so that's what we will focus on for this part.
Okay. For the telescopic handles, I would pick the Gibraltar, and that's because it has a really smooth handle, really nice feel. It's really easy to pull up and down, and it's really solid and stable when you're moving around and twisting it all over the place. So that was my go-to.
They're obviously going to be super similar because like they're all constructed very similarly, the narrow handle ones, and they're not the wide. Wide is my personal favorite. So if I was to pick, I would pick a wide, but since we're only looking at narrows, it's a little bit more complicated. I will say that the Gibraltars are very nice because it's very solid. I'm not sure because this is cheating because it's that metal construction all around. But in reality, it might be a surprise to you, but the Captures, yeah, man. The Capture has a very solid telescoping handle. It's just, it doesn't move around as much as the other suitcases, and it's nice and shiny, and yeah, it's just the easiest to sort of tug around without, and with it maintaining its structure. So yeah, soft top wins here. Who would have thought?
Rollability, you can't really go wrong with Level 8 wheels. They're always quiet and smooth and easily the best wheels I've tried on any luggage. However, since this is one of the most important features of the luggage, we're going to try to find a difference if we can. Here you see us rolling the cases empty, but we also loaded them up fully with the Level 8 packing cubes and rolled them across hardwood, carpet, and tile to test the feel. The rolling weight was around 25 pounds.
So for the wheels, I would pick the Capture. I thought the wheels were super smooth, really glides well. It was really quiet. Probably one of the best wheels I've ever used in a luggage overall. So definitely goes to the Capture for wheels.
Level 8 does an amazing job. Again, if you do wheels with wide handles, even better. But since we're doing narrow, it's hard. They're all very nice. They're all very quiet. However, when I'm thinking about us using these in airports and things, I do notice the heavier the luggage is, the better it rolls. And that was kind of confirmed with like the free loop. So the free loop is still very quiet, still very smooth, but when it was lighter, it did not hold up as well as some of the other ones. But then this is the surprise again, is the Capture. I don't know what magic juju they put into those wheels, but they are strangely better than everything that I've tried from Level 8. So like that's including the check-ins. It's like I've tried in a bunch of different luggages from them and I've loved their wheels, but the Capture just is so quiet. It's so smooth. It's just, I don't get it. It makes no noise. It is unencumbered by rocks. It's just like we took it to a Dallas wedding and it's so smooth, just buttery smooth. Buttery smooth. So the Capture takes this one. Another soft top win. Like, what's going on here? So this is where it gets a little bit annoying, because they're all the same kind of stuff, but they all do it a little bit differently. So the Gibraltars, I want to say, but they don't win because they are a little bit more hassly. So like they do sound nice, they do feel nice, but the hook and latch system is just less convenient than what the 𝐵𝐷𝐿 has, which is just a press-on. Same thing with the free loop. The free loop is super nice because it's just one tab push up. The 𝐵𝐷𝐿 is really nice because it just feels so solid, like the most solid ever. So dope. And in my brain, I'm going between the 𝐵𝐷𝐿 and the free loop. And I'm probably going with the free loop because it's just one hand operation. And I think that is the thing that really sells this whole thing, is just one click, one hand up. You could literally get it done with one hand. The other ones you literally have to commit to pressing things or looping things. So definitely that. However, I know that the zippered ones are something that you guys care about, and you know, so, like the zipper list is what I generally go to. But if I were to pick from the other options in terms of like the zippered functions, I'd probably go with the Capture again. And the reason why I'd say that is because it has a nicer zipper than the Pro, and it also does a great job about storing things on the outside. So it's just, even with that compartment, and if I'm comparing the external storage, I would rather have the zippered interface that the Capture has than the Pro's click button. It's more convenient with the click button, but it's just a lot nicer feeling and operating with the Capture. So if you're going zippered, Capture's the better closure for me.
So for closure, I would go for the 𝐵𝐷𝐿. It takes a little bit of time for me to get used to the side adjust or side openings and closings, but I thought it was really sleek and really smooth opening and closing, so that's the one I would go to.
Now the most important feature, packing and compression. All of these have slightly different systems and capacities ranging from 35 liters to 46 liters. The Capture here has the most packability with its expandability from 40 liters to 46 liters. While it's not a clamshell, it does make up for it by having a removable wet bag and a ton of zippered storage. Even the compression straps have zippered compartments in them. The Pro Carry-On has the smallest storage at 35 liters and uses an X compression strap that works very well when using packing cubes. The other side has zippered dividers with zippered pockets. Pretty simplistic, but effective. The 𝐉𝐘𝐄 has a zippered divider, but the fanciest pockets with a wet bag pocket. It also employs a Y-strap compression system, which really locks things down. The Gibraltar uses 2 hook and latch dividers to hold things in place. They have the added versatility of being removable for those times that you want to bring in more chunky items. And finally, the free loop has a lot of features from the other luggages with the Y-strap system from the 𝐉𝐘𝐄, the hook and loop system of the Gibraltar, and even the wet bag from the Capture.
So for internal storage and compression, I'm going to go again with the 𝐉𝐿. And that's because I really like the Y system and the compression that it gives. But also on the other side, you have the wet bag, which I thought was really cool, and a smaller pocket for other things like accessories. So I like the combination of those two in that luggage. So that's the one I would go for.
This is a little hard for me because there's so many different options. So like, basically, I used to love the Gibraltars because it used to be the most convenient. However, I grew to kind of not like the hook and latch system because it doesn't compress much. It just stretches around your stuff rather than actually give you a compression. They've done zippers in the past, so I like that. But the thing with mine is that they're just very inconsistent with how they choose it. I would wish they'd pick their best features for their luggage rather than kind of mix and matching. So like the free loop's really good because it has that Y compression, but on the other side it has a hook and latch system that that is not removable. And then the Gibraltar is really nice because it has removable functions. And then there is a nice Y system or X system on the Pro, but again, it's not as compressy as some of the Y systems with the big wide straps. So if I'm trying to think of, it has to be one of the Y strap luggages, which means it's going to be either the free loop or the 𝐉𝐿𝐄. And I think I'm going with the 𝐉𝐿𝐄. And the reason why I say that is because the Y system is very nice. Again, I like that for the large compartment, being able to lock that down. But if I had to pick between the second side and if I had to pick one of the other systems, if I don't have another Y system, I would prefer having a zippered system with pockets and instead of the hook and latch. And that's just because the hook and latch to me, again, like it doesn't compress. The zippers, at least you can kind of force it in and it'll hold things back. And having the extra pockets in terms of a mesh pocket divider and a wet pocket divider is just a nice function. I know that the free loop has its own dedicated wet bag in the middle, but again, the fact that I can't remove that is a little bit annoying because usually with wet bags, I'd want to take it out. Like in the Capture, they have a wet bag in there too, right? But I can't take it to, like, I can take that one to the bathroom. For the free loop, I can't. So if I'm gonna make some choices there, I'm going with the 𝐉𝐿𝐄 because it has the Y adapter or has the Y straps and it has the zippers. So overall, 𝐉𝐿𝐄 for the internal storage. So we finally got all the results. I've tallied everything up in a few different ways so that we could talk about it. But based on your responses, what do you think that you liked the best?
It sounds like I like the 𝐉𝐿𝐄 better. Based on all of the characteristics that we had, I feel like I chose that one more than the other ones. So I think that's the one I like better.
Yeah, so like when I was looking at hers was like far and away. So the way I kind of tallied this is the choice was a point, and then if you made like a secondary comment about something else you liked, I gave it a half point. So Sumika gave like 3 points to the 𝐉𝐿𝐄, 1 point for the Gibraltar, 1 point for the Capture, 1 for the free loop, and then 0.5 to the Pro. So like it was very skewed towards the 𝐉𝐿𝐄. Me, on the other hand, I didn't expect this to be the top, but it was the Capture. I didn't expect to like the soft top better than everything else because I don't generally go for soft tops. But like I said in the full review, I was super surprised by that luggage, and the wheels were probably the big thing. But mine were a little bit more distributed, so I gave 3 points to the capture, 2.5 for the 𝐼𝐒 or the 𝐼𝐒, 1 to the Gibraltar, which is weird because I really like that luggage. Because this is my like daily, my go-to at this point. And then I gave 1 to the free loop. So then when we look at them together, the 𝐼𝐒 edges out. So we gave 5.5, together we gave 5.5 points to the 𝐼𝐒, 4 points to the capture, 2 to the Gibraltar, 2 to the free loop, and then 0.5 to the Pro. So what are your thoughts based on that?
I'm not surprised because I gave so many points to the 𝐼𝐒. I will say, looking at the side opening, the closures, I would want to give another ½ point to the free loop because I really like that one too, just in general. I think I like that opening closure in general, but I just really like the 𝐼𝐒 in general, so I'm happy it came out on top.
Yeah, I think that the 𝐼𝐒 got the benefit of having more of the new features. So having a heavier luggage will keep it lower to the ground, makes it a little bit smoother. I think I kind of would have liked the free loop more, but they like kind of went all over the place with the design. So like I would have preferred if that side handle that they had on it was also on the top, because that top part is just a little tight to get your fingers through. But if they put that on the top, I might have given it a point on handles because it's like padded, it's leather and all that. And then also like if like, you know, I think we both like the Y straps best.
We did, yeah. It's so easy to press it down and compress when you have a lot of stuff with the Y system. So I really like that. And
I think the reason why I didn't go for the free loop for the internal, despite having that, is because it had that hook and latch system from the Gibraltar, which just didn't feel as like I'm compressing anything or holding much back. Because I know you have that on your other luggage, and it's like all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty, it's simple to use, so I like it for that reason. But if you're an overpacker like I usually am, I think the Y system works a lot better for that reason.
Yeah, so like going through this, I know there's a lot to look at, but I did get to see which features I like the best. I have a hell of a lot to talk to Level 8 about what I would love to see in my ideal suitcase, and maybe I'll do that as another video. But I was surprised on what my top pick was.
Yeah, I was surprised too.
Yeah.
You don't usually go for the softer luggages.
Yeah. I think it's just like in hand, it just feels nicer than it looks, which is surprising.
I mean, it looks pretty sleek too. I used it in one of your past videos and I really liked it too. It holds so much stuff and it has so many different compartments and it's really good for organization. So I can see why you would pick that. You're very much an organization person. Like
if I wanted to be really sleek on an international travel, I might bring that capture just because I could expand if I needed to.
Yeah.
And I could put passports and all that other stuff. But like if I was traveling within the States for business and stuff, I'd probably pick one of these other ones. And apparently 𝐼𝐒 is the one that we would pick. But that's the comparison. If you guys have any other questions or you'd like to see a more dedicated review with just a couple of them, let us know. But also let us know soon because I am letting my friends have at some of these because I can't have all these carry-ons, you know. Maybe we'll get some check-ins, but I think we're way over on carry-ons at the moment. But again, thank you guys for... This is probably going to be a longer video than we've been putting out recently. So thank you guys for sticking around. If you could, please like, comment, subscribe. Do all the things you normally do on a video that you like and love, and we'll see you shortly. Also, if you're interested, I forgot to say this, but if you're interested in any of these luggages, we have full reviews on that on my channel. Check those out. But also, if you want a 20% off until the 17th, check the code above. I'll also put the 10% code that's active all the time, just in case you guys see this after the 17th. But if you guys want some money shaved off that final price, go for it. Anyway, thank you guys for sticking around. Appreciate ya. Peace.
Bye.